Hey, thanks for stopping by. Before Nightreign came out, I thought the game would take place in an alternate timeline after Ranni's Age of Stars, and it's not hard to see why. When you get the Darkmoon Greatsword, Ranni says this:
I go now to the night sky. It is there I shall find mine order.
And if you choose her ending, in the English version, Ranni makes this announcement.
Now cometh the Age of the Stars. 1,000-year voyage under the wisdom of the moon. Here beginneth the chill night that encompasses all, reaching the great beyond.
A night that encompasses all sounds very familiar to how the night is described in Nightreign. The reach of the night is limitless, its potential immeasurable, its touch indiscriminate, affecting any and all things. While it's not outright confirmed, Nightreign does seem to take place in a timeline where the Nox succeeded in bringing about their Lord of Night. We know that long ago, the Nox invoked the ire of the Greater Will and were banished deep underground. Now they live under a false night sky, in eternal anticipation of their liege, of the coming Age of the Stars, and their Lord of Night. And in the Japanese, Lord of Night uses the same kanji as Night Lord. I'll also point out that some of the bosses in Limveld, like Morgott, have purple or red eyes, which is very similar to the ants that have been mind-controlled by the Nox. But after taking a closer look, Ranni's version of her Age of Stars is quite different from what the Nox had in mind. While both the Nox and Ranni seek an Age of Stars, Ranni never mentions a Lord of Night. She also wasn't planning on having a consort. According to her Dark Moon ring, whoever thou mayest be, take not the ring from this place, as the solitude beyond the night is better mine alone. Ranni outright tells us that she wants to keep her chill night at a distance.
Mine will be an order not of gold, but the stars and moon of the chill night. I would keep them far from the earth beneath our feet, which is why I would abandon this soil with mine order.
So Ranni's order would be in the night sky, but kept far away from the lands between. This was emphasized again in her ending speech, though rather infamously, parts of it were lost in translation. According to Frontline Gaming, these lines from Ranni could instead be retranslated as, "To all, you may think of the chill night as infinitely far away, and now let us go on our path of fear, doubt, and loneliness into darkness." In addition, Ranni specifically describes her night as a chill night. After all, Ranni is associated with frost magic, and the night in Nightreign doesn't seem to favor frost over other status effects or other types of magic. There's also the fact that Ranni's relationship with the Nox is a bit complicated. She infamously orchestrated the Night of the Black Knives, but their ringleader, Alecto, is trapped in an Everjail in Carian territory, and despite their earlier alliance, Ranni had to have someone break into Nokron to snatch the Fingerslayer blade. And during her questline, we see Ranni is hunted down by both the Two Fingers and the Black Knife Assassins. In the base game, I always assumed the Black Knife Assassins were after Ranni because they found out she was the one who orchestrated the theft of the Fingerslayer blade. But if Ranni and the Nox had competing visions for the Age of Stars, this could offer another reason for why Blythe and Iji got ganked by the Black Knife Assassins. Just to clarify, Ranni did exist in the Nightreign timeline, since she's still referenced in the Codex entries. That said, we don't know what happened to her, or if she's single.
You are maidenless.
So Ranni didn't want the events of Nightreign to happen, but while Ranni wasn't working with the Nox, they were collaborating with another Carian, Heolstor. During his second phase, Heolstor wields a Moonlight Greatsword, but its designs and attacks are very different from Ranni's. In Elden Ring, the Moonlight Greatswords are bestowed by a Carian queen upon her spouse to honor long-standing tradition. Quick side note, I love this as a marriage tradition, and I really hope this takes off IRL. So to all the maidens watching this, don't wait for your partner to put a ring on it. Instead, give them a sword. Anywho, in the lands between, we actually come across two different Moonlight Greatswords. There's of course the Dark Moon Greatsword from Ranni, But there's also the Golden Order Greatsword, which was once the greatsword bequeathed to Radagon by his first wife, Ranni. But it has since been reforged by Radagon to symbolize the tenets of the Golden Order. In the game, you get Ranni's sword by becoming her consort, but you get the Golden Order Greatsword after defeating a leonine misbegotten crusader. While that might seem completely random at first, there is actually an explanation. In cut content, the misbegotten were called Children of Radagon, so that could explain how one of Radagon's bastard children got their hands on his iconic sword. In addition to Heolstor wielding a Moonlight Greatsword, there are other hints connecting him with the Carians. While the Carians are clearly associated with the moon, they also have ties to the night. Before Ranni's second phase, we hear this from Ranni.
And the majesty of the night she conjureth.
And when you defeat Ranni, she says this.
Breathe thy might into being.
Ranni, of course, has the power to birth people anew with larval tears. And in Nightreign, during Wilder's ending, we see him use a larval tear to become the Night Lord. Ranni and Radagon were married at the Church of Vows, which has Nox architecture. The church is also where you can use Celestial Dew to reverse antagonizations, like Radagon once did. And Celestial Dew is also known as a night tear. Once upon a time, the stars of the night sky guided fate, and this is a recollection of those times. Although not unique to the family, wolves are a symbol of Carian royalty. According to the wolf crest shield, the wolf is the beast of the Carian royal covenant, a symbol of the moon's pride that none can forget, no matter what remote lands they may arrive in. And the Tricephalus, who was Heolstor's turtle, is basically a red wolf of Radagon but with 3 heads. And for what it's worth, the Everdark Sovereigns drop sovereign sigils, which are royal symbols of the Lords of Everdark. So the knight is associated with royalty, though which line is left unstated. Taken together, I think the games are heavily implying a connection between Heolstor and the Carians. Since Heolstor has a Moonlight Greatsword, the simplest explanation was that he was either a consort or a son of a Carian. It would also be very fitting if Heolstor had his identity stricken from the annals of history, but his lore still fits in seamlessly with the rest of his family. Oh hey, Mesmer, Nameless King, I didn't see you there. If Heolstor was the consort to a Carian, which one did he marry? We can rule out Ranni since the sword Heolstor is using is definitely not the Dark Moon Greatsword. We can also exclude Ranni since she renounced her birthright to simp after Mesmer well before the Shattering. That leaves us with 2 possibilities, Ranni and the mysterious third Carian sister. We know that Radagon's first wife was Ranni, but it's unclear if Ranni may have been married before she married Radagon. We do know that the man who ultimately became Heolstor and the Night Lord was defeated by a hero of the Golden Order, either Radagon or Godfrey. If Heolstor was actually Ranni's first husband, him being defeated by Radagon would be incredibly humiliating, and I could see how that would fuel his resentment and hatred. It's also basically this meme, so it is the funniest option. That said, I think the more likely option is the third Carian sister. The rises in Caria Manor are called the Three Sisters. Today, those rises are named after Celivis, Ranni, and Renna, which were definitely not their original names. Thanks to the DLC, we know that Ranni and R'hllana were sisters, and I believe that Sellen was that third sister. Alongside Ranni and Radahn, who are both Carians, Sellen's fate is also held in stasis by Radahn conquering the stars. I also believe that Iji is referring to Sellen when he says this.
With the stars of fate set into motion, a certain sorceress is dispossessed of her immortality. Finally, we can be rid of a long-standing Carian weed.
Sellen is also the only person ever described as a sorceress in the base game. And of course, Sellen has a similar phenotype and black hair, just like Ranni and R'hllana. And in Greek mythology, Sellen was the name of the goddess of the moon, which would tie in very nicely with the lunar motif for the Carians. Finally, Sellen being married to Heolstor could also explain a rather minor detail. I always thought it was a bit odd that you can find Sellen in Limgrave and her doppelganger in the Weeping Peninsula. Sellen is obviously on the run, but she doesn't seem to have much of a potential connection to either place. But if Sellen was actually married to Heolstor, who is in another version of Limgrave, could be her trying to reunite with her consort, and that would add a whole new layer of tragedy to her character. The other reason why I think Heolstor was Sellen's consort involves the Primeval current. I actually have an entire video about why I think the outer god of night is the Primeval current in Nightreign. However, there is another explanation that could tie Heolstor to the Carian royal family. During the ending cinematic, we see a massive giant rise up, and this Goliath is wearing armor with fingerprints all over it. This reminded me of the knight set you can find in Shadow of the Erd Tree. According to its description, flowing lines in the seeming shape of a fingerprint adorn the surface, imprisons the wearer in utterly lightless dark, bestowed upon those born deep underground, ordaining them as sword hands of night. Likewise, Heolstor's helmet looks very similar to the Helm of Night. Heolstor's armor might be made of silver, which would tie into the Nox's silver tears. The tears are a mockery of life, reborn again and again into imitation. Perhaps, one day, it will be reborn a lord. Now if Heolstor is wearing a set of knight armor, that would connect him to another Carian, Count Emhyr. Emhyr was once R'hllana's teacher, but later abandoned his allegiance to the moon, and the game implies that Emhyr was the one who raised Yolan and Anna to be sword hands of night. According to their Spirit Ash item description, Yolan and Anna were born in a cold, dark jail where they were raised, deprived of light, to be sword hands of night. Thus were they cultivated to become the most terrifying masters of their blades, though the burden of the deed left their hearts frail and pliant. If you do enough of Emhyr's questline, Yolan will outright say,
"The night is yours now to wield."
And if she defeats you, she says, "Surrender to the Knight of Yolan," which is reminiscent of the name of the Night Lord relics. Square Table Gaming also pointed out that in the jail where you find the knight set, it's found on a third body. This seems to imply that there was a third sibling who was raised alongside Yolan and Anna. And if that's the case, I think Heolstor could be this missing sibling. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to know what yins think.